Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and this is Soft Flow Yoga. It's a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. Thanks so much for being here. So our class today is called Stretch and Strengthen Your Thighs. We're going to be working our legs. Now, what I've discovered over the years of teaching yoga is that there's not many poses that focus directly on your thighs, kind of the front part of the leg here. A lot of work for your hamstrings and your calves, but not so much for your thighs. So we're going to attempt a few poses, and of course there's not that many, that will really focus on giving your legs, the fronts of your legs, a little bit more strength and a way that you can effectively and safely stretch them. All right, of course we need some props. I am going to suggest that you have a blanket. We'll be doing some work where we're kneeling, and so just having something soft underneath you is going to be quite nice. So a blanket or a towel that's folded. You can even double up on your yoga mats. You want a couple of yoga blocks for a couple of poses that we'll do as well. And maybe a big pillow. This is my yoga bolster. And this is something you might want to just have around for your regular yoga practice. So a bolster or a big pillow. Let's go ahead and start in a seated position. So sit comfortably and feel free to sit on your pillow or your folded blanket or towel. You can cross your legs here. You don't have to cross your legs. If it feels a little bit more comfortable to extend your legs, go ahead and do that. Or if you need a little bit more back support, sit up against a wall or even sit in a chair to begin. Wherever you are, just sit up tall with a lengthened spine. Take a few deep breaths. You might inhale deeply through your nose and exhale completely through your mouth. You can do that with a nice sigh, and you'll even feel your body relax. Inhale once again, and exhale. Very nice. Just continue with slow, deep breaths. Now you can do this with your eyes opened. Just gaze softly forward or downward at the ground, or you can do this with your eyes closed. Just slow, steady breaths, just to get in tune with your breathing, helping you to fully arrive here in the moment so you can practice. You want to breathe in a way where you can feel your breath. Feel, even imagine your breath moving through your body. But you may experience the rise and fall of your chest or belly as you breathe in and out. And also listen to the sound of your breath. So if your breath is a little soft right now, just turn up the volume. These are just simple ways to help you really focus. Helps you to pay attention to what's going on right now, right here. Good. Just continue with this. This is our breathing meditation. Meditation really just means focusing on one thing for a period of time. In this case, we're focusing on the sound and feeling of the breath for a few minutes. And just to bring a little bit more awareness to the breath, when you inhale, just feel as if the breath is rising upward and it fills up your lungs. Very expansive. Then as you exhale, as you're able, you're going to draw your belly button in towards your spine. Just a light pull. It doesn't have to be too strong or forced. Just simply pull in. We call that the abdominal lock. It's a way of supporting your body, especially if you're just sitting up freely like this. Again, inhale, just feel the breath rising, filling up your lungs. Exhale completely, drawing the belly button in towards your spine. It's a light contraction of your abdominal muscles, so you'll feel that engagement. This abdominal connection, this feeling of being centered, helps you to be here in the moment, helps you to be in stillness. And soon the sensation will help you to move your body and to support your body. Let's take 3 more breaths like this. Good. Let's add a very simple movement. Here we go. Inhale and extend your arms out across the room, a nice reach, all the way out and up towards the ceiling. Then exhale, extend your arms out across the room. As you're exhaling, bring your arms back down by your side. Let's do that again. Inhale, reach out as if you're going to touch the walls on either side of you, reaching up to touch the ceiling. And exhale, reaching out again. Feel like your fingertips are just touching those walls, finishing the breath. Now go ahead and continue this on your own. Breathe and move at your own pace. Still feeling the breath as it moves through your body, listening to the sound of the breath. And now we've added movement. Reaching upward, outward, and down. Notice the sensations in your body as you're moving. The energy in your arms as you're reaching up, this stretch and lengthening sensation perhaps down through the sides of your body, even the lengthening in your spine. Feel the movement in your shoulders. Very good. Finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. Wonderful. Go at your own pace, never a rush. And when you're complete, you can just bring your hands back down to your legs, let them rest in your lap. Feel how the body relaxes here. While still seated, just bring your hands behind you and just prop yourself up onto your fingertips. When you bring your arms back, also allow the shoulders to draw back too. It's a nice way to kind of open up through the chest. You're going to tip your chin up just a little bit, just to create a little space or a little bit more space in the chest area. What we've created is this mild seated back bend. We're going to add a little bit more energy to this as we breathe. Here we go. As you inhale, just press your fingertips into the floor and just feel the energy shoot up the arms. Inhale and just feel the breath rising to fill your lungs. Let them expand. Feel that stretch quality across your chest from shoulder to shoulder. When you exhale, we're still drawing the belly button in towards the spine, engaging the abdominal system. Do that again. Inhale, keep breathing, pushing into the floor, filling up your lungs. Exhale, pull belly button in, and also, if you're able, squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. What you're doing is just pulling the shoulders back. It's actually your upper back muscles that are allowing you to hold your shoulders back in this manner. So you might feel something in your upper back. 2 more breaths. Very energetic in nature, so notice the sensations you've created in your body in this pose. When you're complete, just lower your chin, looking forward, and then walk your hands toward yourself, sitting up nice and tall. Again, you can just bring your hands around to the front and let them rest on your legs, and let everything just relax. Take a breath. Since that was our back bend, we're going to take a forward fold. So if your legs are crossed here, you'll want to uncross your legs and reposition them so your feet, the soles of your feet are touching. We create what's called a bound angle pose. The binding part is actually you holding on to your ankles, shins, or even your feet. The angle, of course, is just the angle in the legs. Let's add one more thing, and that's your props. It could be a couple of hardbound books, your yoga blocks, or some small pillows that you can just tuck underneath the legs right here so they can actually relax. Now go ahead and hold on to your shins or ankles. Return to a nicely lengthened spine. Inhale to get longer through the spine. As you exhale, draw your belly button in and hinge forward just a little bit, not too much, trying to maintain that full length of the spine. Let's do that again. Inhale, grow taller through the upper body. Exhale, draw belly in and hinge forward. You're leading with your heart and your chin, just a little bit. Now, if you can reach your feet, you can go ahead and hold on to your feet, but you can always just hold on to somewhere along your legs. Now, we're going to go a little deeper, but we never want to force or push ourselves into our poses. That's one of the things that I encourage, especially in a soft flow class. We're really taking our time and want to be in a place where we can hold our postures for a good amount of time without feeling uncomfortable. So what we'll do here is just lower the chin a little bit and let the back round, which may allow you to fold a little bit deeper. But again, you don't have to go too far, just to the point where you feel perhaps a little bit more sensation in your inner legs. And with that natural curvature in the spine, you might even feel a stretch along your back. That might feel quite good. Keep breathing deeply. Now, in our back bend, I had you breathe into your front body, your chest, feeling that stretch across the chest. Now that we're bent over, can you create that same sensation across your upper back? Breathing in to expand your lungs, but also feel the expansion in your back. The exhale, we're still drawing the belly button in towards spine. It's just a way of supporting our bodies while we hold in place. Go ahead and take 2 more breaths. Now we want to re-extend the spine before we rise back up. So just lift your chin and you'll start to feel that re-extension of the spine. We're going to hinge our way back up. You can even assist your body by placing your hands on the mat and just press and lift until you're nice and tall in your seat. And just hold here for a moment. And if you were using some props, let's go ahead and remove those and place them to the side. We're going to maneuver our way around to our hands and knees. And this is where your blanket or towel might come in handy. So I'm just going to unfold mine so I have a nice rectangle so I can rest my knees at the back end and my wrists at the front end right here. I'm going to inhale and just tip the chin up, little arch of the back, like so, creating a back bend. Then exhale, tuck the chin under, feel the back round, belly button pulls up towards spine, and the pelvis tucks under. Reverse it now. As you inhale, let the pelvis tip back, the belly will drop. You'll create that back bend, heart opens, look forward. Inhale. Exhale, round it all out. So the exhale, the rounding of the spine is cat pose. The inhale, when we create the back bend, is cow pose. Exhale. Do this a few more times. This is a wonderful way to open up your spine, release any tension in your back, and get some mobility through your pelvis. Inhale to look up or forward, creating the back bend. Exhale, round it out, cat pose. Finish the breath that you're on, and then take 2 more breaths. And we'll finish in a nice tabletop position, holding in stillness for a moment. And then we're going to crawl off of our blanket or towel. Let's just set it to the side. Keep it handy because we'll need that again. Come back out onto your mat, hands and knees. Let's get set up for downward facing dog. If your hands or wrists are directly underneath the shoulders, let's just change that. I'm just going to step your hands forward just a little bit. And as you step your hands forward, spread out your fingers pretty wide. That way you create a nice base. And you're stretching between each finger. Lean into the palms. That's it, stretching the palms. And as you press into the floor, you'll feel a nice straightening of the arms. Good strength here. Let's tuck the toes under. Let's create another cat-cow flow. So inhale, tip chin up. Exhale, round. Hold cat pose. Keep toes tucked. Lift the knees, send the hips up into the air. And you might want to tiptoe forward just a little bit, just so your hips are a little higher, and you might even feel a little bit more stable in this upside down position. Do your best to relax your head and neck. Keep those knees soft. Send the hips up into the air, hands pressing firmly into the mat. 1 more breath. And then step the feet forward until your feet are flat on your mat. Right here, slide your fingertips toward your toes. You'll be in a forward fold. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, only rising up halfway. This is a halfway lift or half forward fold, making sure your feet feel solid on the ground. And you're going to feel this natural engagement in your hamstrings. So here's one of those poses where you're going to feel the hamstrings. Now your thighs are engaged, but you're probably going to feel this a little bit more in the backs of the legs. Now shift your weight into your heels a little bit, bend your knees and lower your hips, lift your chest. We're going to kind of create this little chair-like pose. Take your arms out to the side for balance. Drive your heels into the floor to straighten your legs. Lifting up, standing up tall, reaching into the air. There you go. Then exhale, bring your arms down to your side. Now this brings us to our first standing position, mountain pose. Let's just hold here for a moment. Take a second to just check in with your body. You might want to roll your shoulders back a couple times, roll them forward, even work down the arms. I like to get into the elbow joints, wrists, and fingers. Alrighty, now we're going to focus down the body a little bit. We're focusing on our thighs, stretching and strengthening our thighs today. So here's something you can try to do while you're standing in mountain pose to try to engage your thighs, the fronts of the legs. This is something I learned a long time ago when I was first learning how to practice yoga. Now my teacher instructed us to try to lift your kneecaps up towards your thighs. Try to lift, and when you do so, your thigh muscles are going to engage. Can you do that? So if you just soften, you can even bend the knees a little bit and feel everything go soft. And then you'll kind of lock the knees here, but we're going to do that only briefly. Try to lift your kneecaps up towards your thighs. You might even feel your toes kind of lift there too. You're going to really feel your thigh muscles. And now relax. Just bend the knees. We're going to do that again. Lifting the kneecaps up towards your thighs, your quadriceps. Yes. Then release. Bend the knees, and you can kind of walk that out. So that's just one way that you can just practice just engaging your thigh muscles. Alrighty, let's do a flow or a half salute to the sun. We're going to flow into a forward fold and come back up. Let me just quickly adjust my mat and we'll get going. There we go. So starting in mountain pose, just like this, arms down by your side. Here we go. Inhale, extend your arms out and up, nice and tall. Reach and stretch. Exhale, spread your wings, arms out to the side. Bend your knees. Sit back into an imaginary chair, bending your knees. Let your chest come down towards your thighs. Let your hands lower. Let your head drop a little, and you might touch your toes. Inhale, slide your hands up to the shins or thighs, extending the spine. Pause here in that flat back. Keep the knees bent, feel the natural engagement of the hamstrings and your quads. Then shifting into the heels, bend your knees like you're sitting, lifting the chest, spread your wings again. Then inhale, rise up nice and tall, reach up, exhale, arms return to your side. Feel free to shake all that out. Alrighty, now we're going to move into a variation of Warrior 1 and Warrior 2, okay, just from a standing posture. And this is going to be another working into our quadriceps, the fronts of the legs, our thighs, okay? So we'll start in mountain pose again. Let's really bend the knees. Keep a nice softness in the knees. Start shifting your weight into your right foot. Keep those knees bent. And that's ensuring that we're going to be working in our muscles and not putting any pressure in our knee joints, okay? Now I'm leaning to my right foot. I'm leaning forward a little bit, so I'm going to feel my right set of toes kind of grip the mat so I don't tip over. Kind of lightening up this left foot so I can tap it back until it just kind of naturally stops. Heel lifted right there. So a nice stretch that's happening in the foot and toes. I'm going to rotate my whole left leg out so I can plant that heel into the floor right there. And I even shifted my weight back so I'm more centered. And keep that softness in the knees. Check in with your right knee. Be sure your right knee and your toes are pointing directly forward. Okay, now place your hands on your hips. You're going to push your pelvis downward as you feel like your torso is lifting upward. We're creating a lot of space in our belt line so that we can easily turn to face mostly forward. Now inhale, extend your arms straight up into the air, and exhale, bend your elbows to about 90 degrees, like this. Alrighty, now this is a variation of Warrior 1 I'd like to do in soft flow, just so we get the feeling of standing with our feet apart in a lunge, but maintaining some good balance and not overdoing it. we're going to get ready for our warrior two. So let's go ahead and inhale, shoot the arms all the way up. Exhale, bring your arms down to your side and just kind of relax here. Now what we need to do is actually create a little bit more space between the feet because we're going to be working in this front leg, the right leg. So just take your time and just start tapping, okay, this left foot back. You don't have to go very far really, okay, but you are putting a little bit more distance between the feet. Now we're going to put some more bend in this knee. I'm watching the knee, feel this, so that your knee never goes past your heel or ankle. Again, we don't want to put too much pressure on the knee joint, but let the muscle here, okay, hold you. So this is our warrior two position, okay? So it's a nice wide lunge, okay? And with this front leg really engaging. So you really do build a lot of strength in your legs by doing warrior poses like warrior two. Let's make sure we're standing up nice and tall, or the torso is nice and tall, and just take the arms out over the legs. Straight arms are parallel to the floor. There's our warrior two. You can even turn your gaze forward out over your right hand. Now, if you wanted to and could, you can just first lower the arms and even create a little bit more distance between the feet if you want, which I'm going to do. You don't have to. I'm just going to kind of heel toe my left foot back. Okay, I'm just going to kind of keep this leg where it is, or the foot where it is, but because I create a little bit more space, I can lunge a little deeper. Again, never passing my ankle bone, okay? The knee is nicely aligned over it, and creating a little bit more tension actually in this thigh. It's engaging, building strength right here. So we're holding this pose for a long time. So I can really feel this in my leg now. All right, now follow me. You're going to bring the arms down. Okay, feel the torso kind of lift out of the pelvic bowl so you feel the space in the belt line. Turn to face forward. I like to put my hands out, palms up, carefully fold. Bring the hands to the floor here. Okay, and come up onto the tiptoes back behind me so the heel is lifted. So I'm in this runner's lunge. We are going to be coming back to this a little bit later. But for now, just press your hands firmly into the floor. Strong, straight arms as best as you can. Lift your hips. You might even just lift up higher on your tiptoes back there, getting the hips to lift a little higher. So we can pull this right foot back like so. So we're in plank pose. Let's take a little pause. Let's bring the knees to the floor. All right, let's do another little thing here. Here's what you can do with your bolster, pillow, or even a rolled up blanket or towel. And this might be a little too big, but you're going to bring this tucked in between the calves and your hamstrings so that you can sit, okay? And this begins kind of a gentle stretch in the quads, okay? We're not going to be here too long, okay? So sitting in hero pose, and this is kind of a supported hero pose with the pillow, to actually get a nice stretch in the quads. Alrighty, we're not going to be here too long because that might be a little bit too much tension, okay, in the knees or ankles if we hold this too long. So we're going to come back out to hands and knees. Let me just move my pillow out of the way right here. All right, let's return to a downward facing dog. Spreading out the fingers, palms flat, press, strong straight arms, tuck toes. Okay, and then inhale to cow pose. That's our back bend. Exhale, round it out. Hold cat. Keeping toes tucked, lift the knees, lift the hips. Knees stay bent. Keep lifting up through the hips so you really feel that nice extension through the torso. We're going to take a step forward, maybe to the center of the mat until our feet are flat on the ground. Slide your fingers toward your toes. That's our forward fold. Inhale, slide your hands up to the shins, knees, or thighs, extending the spine. Pause here. Flat back, bent knees, strong legs. Shift weight into the heels, bend your knees more, lifting your chest, spread your wings, drive your heels into the floor. So this really engages the legs strongly to help you stand, reaching into the air for a nice stretch. Exhale, arms down to your side. So that's a nice full sequence, getting into a variation of Warrior 1 and stepping into a Warrior 2. getting into our thighs. Okay, let me adjust my mat once again. We're going to do the other side. So starting in mountain pose, make sure you're standing near the top of your mat. I usually like to leave a little space between my toes and the front edge of the mat. Soften the knees, keep them quite bent. Start shifting weight into your left foot. Really bend the knees. Feel the energy in the legs. They're working. Alrighty, I'm leaning forward a little bit, gripping the mat with my left set of toes. My right foot feels light enough to start tapping it back until it naturally stops. Heel lifted, little flex of the toes. Rotate the leg outward so I can plant that right heel into the floor, shifting the weight back so I'm centered here. Check in with left knee and toes pointing forward. Place hands on hips. Push pelvis down, feel tall, and then turn to face forward or mostly forward. Inhale, extend your arms up into the air. Exhale, bend elbows to 90 degrees. Here's our variation of Warrior One. Hold here. All right, again, we're getting used to just standing in a lunge or just in a position where our feet are apart. We're going to get ready for our Warrior Two position, building strength in our quadricep. Inhale, extend your arms straight up. Exhale, bring your arms down. All right, I'm just going to lean forward a little bit into this front foot so I can just start tapping the right foot back. I'm taking kind of 3 steps back. That should be a nice start here. And checking in with this front leg. I can lunge just a little bit more, keeping the knee nicely aligned over the heel or ankle bone. This back leg is relatively straight. Feel tall so your torso is perpendicular to the floor, that's up and down, and then extend your arms so they're parallel to the floor like so. And then you can turn your gaze forward out over your left hand. So this is our Warrior Two. And take a couple breaths here. So you really want to feel stable and balanced on both feet because this front leg is bent. It's working in the thigh and just being sure you don't feel any pressure in that front knee. Let's go ahead and bring the arms down. You can stay like this to hold it longer, or if you can, maybe heel toe this right foot back a little bit. Okay, putting more distance between the feet. And that changes, see how that changes my alignment? That just means I can lunge a little deeper. Okay, my leg in front here is starting to get a little bit more parallel to the floor. If you're really flexible and want to build some good strength, you can really get this leg to be parallel to the floor. You might do that in another type of class, like power yoga. Okay, again, nice and tall. Let's re-extend the arms and hold this for a breath or two. Alrighty, that should be good. Let's go ahead and bring the arms down. Feel tall in the torso so you can turn to face forward. I like to bring the arms up, flip the palms up, and then carefully fold. Bring your hands down to the ground. Support yourself there. Rise up onto your toes so the heel is lifted. There's that runner's lunge. Press firmly into the mat with the hands, strong arms. Lift up onto the toes behind you. Feel the hips lift so we can pull this left foot back so we're in plank pose. Let's bring the knees to the floor. Now, instead of going for that quad stretch, let's get into another posture. You're actually going to sit all the way back to a full hero like this, but then off to the side. Take a seat. Swing the legs around to the front. Scoot forward so you're sitting in the center of your mat. Grab your books or blocks. Stack them. We're going to be moving into a supported bridge pose, and the support is from the blocks or books. You'll be sitting on them, but it's another way of kind of getting into the thighs, and we'll even add a little stretch to them as well. Okay, so have those nearby. Go ahead and roll down onto your back and bring your knees into chest, like so. You can add some movement here if it feels good. Take some deep breaths, and then we'll get set up for our bridge pose. Let's go ahead and set the feet onto the floor. The feet can be wider than the hips, perfectly fine. Make sure you can easily grab your blocks. You're going to inhale to fill up your lungs. Exhale, empty your belly. Just breathe out through the mouth. And then press feet into the floor to lift your hips high enough so you can slide your props underneath you and then take a seat. I love this posture because
it's pretty relaxed. You can sit and things begin to disengage. Now we will do something to help engage the thighs in a moment here, but just rest for a moment, knowing that this could be the end of the pose. Okay, it's a nice opening for the whole front side of the body. It allows you to hold for a long period of time. All right, now if you want, we can do a movement to engage the thighs as well as the backs of the legs. Alrighty, it's basically exhaling, pressing feet into the floor to lift your hips off of your block. Here we go. Breathe in. As you exhale, drive the feet into the floor, lift the hips. You're going to feel your glutes, hamstrings, and your quads right here engage, and then just come back down. Okay, you can hold that as long as you want, but you can come right back down. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale first. Fill yourself up. Exhale through your mouth. As you're kind of into the exhale, press feet into the floor. Lift your hips away from your props. Feel everything underneath you and on top of you here engage. Come back down. 1 more time. Let everything soften first. Inhale. Breathe in. Exhale. Lift. See if you can hold 3, 2, 1, and back down. Now you can just stay like this because it's a nice relaxation posture just to hold here. Things are kind of disengaged, but you can extend the legs. If you're sitting on something firm, like books or blocks, they're not going to slide out from underneath you. Maybe extend the legs, which kind of gives the thighs a little bit of a stretch. It's not, doesn't really feel like it's pulling too strongly, but it is a nice extension. And it really actually gets into kind of the upper region, kind of in the hip flexors, right up here, okay? As well as the quads. That's always a good thing. Let's bend the knees, plant the feet into the ground, come back to a nice relaxed place. Take a breath. And then press feet into the floor, lifting hips again, this time to remove the props out from underneath you, and then come back down to the ground. Let's extend the legs out front and extend the arms behind you. Reach and stretch. Good. Let's bring the knees in once again. Hug them in towards your body. And then roll to one side. Press into the ground to help lift yourself up to a seated position. Now, we're going to get back to our hands and knees. I'm just leaning to one side, swing the legs back around. So we're here on hands and knees. Now, I'm just going to sit back a little bit because I want to be able to easily grab my blanket. So make sure your blanket is right next to you here on your mat. We're going to come back to a downward facing dog. We're going to get into some stretching in the quads. Let's come to a down dog. So step the hands forward, lift the hips into the air, and just hold for a moment. Now we're going to inhale and extend the right leg up into the air behind you. Exhale, bend the right knee. Bring the right knee in underneath you towards your chest or chin as you shift your whole upper body forward so your shoulders are over your wrists. You're going to set your right foot down onto the toes, heel lifted. Doesn't matter where it lands. You're going to set the left knee down onto the floor. Okay? We're just shifting the body weight back. Watch this. I'm going to take my right hand, go get my right ankle, and just pick up the foot and place it up a little higher right there. Okay, my toes are still tucked behind me because I'm going to lift the back knee, get that blanket underneath there, and then I'm going to set that knee back down. You can even flatten that foot if you want to behind you. I'm just shifting the weight back a little bit, just getting the pressure away from the knee and out of the hands, and then rising up here. Now, I'm going to make more adjustments here because we're going to start stretching actually the left thigh. I'm going to wiggle the toes forward, way out to the edge of my mat. So I really have changed the angle here. I'm going to inhale and get nice and tall. I'm actually resting my hands on my right thigh, lifting up tall. As I exhale, slowly sending the hips forward. You're going to move again just to the place where your knee stays nicely aligned over the heel or ankle. You're going to be working this left side. Now you can just keep your hands here on your thigh, but lean forward. Now what you can do for a little extra support, you can bring your blocks or a pillow, something here on your left side, so you have a little bit more support. So you can get into this stretch sensation, okay? Just take some deep breaths. You don't have to go too far. I'm actually going to suggest that you do not go too deep into this pose. Okay, you really are kind of holding yourself up. Getting that nice stretch, but not overstretching it. Because this is a posture where you can easily overstretch. And you may not even need that kind of sensation in your body. Maybe you just need a light stretch today. All right, we're going to come out of the pose by just lifting and pulling back. Just move my blocks out of the way. Since I have more space on my left side, I'm just going to bring my hands over here, okay? So I can actually take my right foot, step back until I'm on my knees, come back to center. Let's just do another series of cat and cow since we're here. Inhale, lift head and heart, arching the back. Exhale, round. One more. Alrighty, now I'm going to crawl off the blanket because we want to move it out of the way because it might act as an obstacle as we get into the next side. So let's just shift it out of the way for now. Okay, come back to a nice position on your mat. Hands and knees. Let's get ready for downward facing dog. Again, you're just stepping the hands forward a little bit. Spread out your fingers, strong straight arms, tuck your toes. Next, exhale, lift your knees and hips into the air. There's our down dog. Let's work the other side. So left leg, pick up the left foot. Inhale, extend the left leg back behind you and give it a little lift into the air. Exhale, bend this left knee, bring it in underneath you toward your chest or chin, shifting your whole upper body forward until your shoulders are over your wrists. And just set this left foot on the floor, heel lifted. Set the right knee down, pulling the weight back. Stepping the hands back a little bit. Actually, just the left hand. You can keep the right hand there just so you can go get this left ankle and then get it up a little higher on your mat. Okay, we need to get that blanket again, okay? So I've got my right set of toes tucked, lifting the knee. If you can, go get that blanket, slide it in, kneel, ready to go. You can flatten this back foot. Then climb up the body until your hands are on your thigh. I'm leaning back a little bit, just taking some of the pressure away from the foot so I can easily wiggle the foot forward. Right about there is good. Hands on thigh and inhale to feel a little taller, making more space in the belt line so I can exhale, moving the pelvis forward. Check in with this alignment. I'm just going to maybe stop where my knee is over the heel because I can already feel this in my right thigh. Remember, you're working your right thigh now. I can feel this. So being up tall like this is fine, but it might create a back bend. It might strain the back. So feel free to lean forward. Just rest on this thigh, and for a little bit more stability, bring in those blocks again. I just have my hands here. And that's going to allow me to sink a little bit more without forcing it, checking in on this left leg so my shin is straight up and down, no pressure in the knee, so I can hold this and supporting my body with the blocks, but getting the nice stretch in my right thigh. I'm going to sink a little deeper, but again, see, it's easy to want to go deep, but you don't have to go deep. If you go deep, only stay there maybe a couple of seconds and then come out of the pose or soften the posture so it doesn't feel like a strain to your muscles or your joints even. 2 more breaths. I can feel this. Alrighty. And then starting to pull the hips back. There we go. I'm going to move my props to the side. Have more room on the right side. So I'm just going to bring my hands over here so I can just kind of slide this left foot back onto the blanket with the knee, centering my body. Cat and cow. Inhale, lift head and heart, arching the back. Exhale, round it out. All right, we're going to get into another pose that's a little bit more dynamic, but just do your best here, okay? It's going to get into this front leg, but it kind of involves a back bend. So at first, I'm going to kind of crawl off the blanket. I'm actually wanting to elongate my blanket like so and pull it back a little bit. And making sure the knees are on the soft blanket here, I'm just going to walk my hands forward and lowering my hips and actually bringing my body all the way down to the floor here. You can just kind of prop yourself up onto your elbows. Okay, just push into the ground with the arms, but feel like you're actually pulling yourself forward. Okay, I'm pushing down, but also pulling forward because you are in a minor back bend. We want to make sure we have plenty of space in that low back area. Okay, now you don't have to do this pose. If for any reason it doesn't feel good to lie on your belly, then you can skip this entirely, but you can watch instead. So I'm kind of leaning over to my right side. I'm still trying to move forward, but I'm leaning to my right just so I can free up this left arm because I'm going to bend this left knee and then reach back and see if I can catch hold of the foot. You can see how this is a little bit more dynamic. If you can't reach your foot, you might want to use a prop. It could be a jump rope or a yoga strap or just something long that you can kind of wrap around the foot and then hold on to the strap. I'm going to go a little lower here. I'm even resting my forehead on my fist and just drawing this heel in towards my backside. And I can feel the stretch in my thigh. Okay? Now, in a way, it's very similar to sitting up in hero pose. Because when you bend the knee in such a way, it's going to create a little pull in the quad. But this also depends on the flexibility and mobility of your knee. So that's why this is a completely optional posture. Okay, we're going to go ahead and release, bring it to the floor. I'm going to come back up onto my elbows. Keep pushing down but pulling forward so my back stays spacious. Now I'm leaning into my left arm. Pick up the right foot. Bend the knee, bring the right arm behind and catch the foot or toe, or if you can, maybe wrap a strap around it. Coming back down onto the belly, lowering my whole body down, resting my forehead on my fist, and I can just manipulate that heel pulling into my backside. I do feel this in my thigh, my quadricep, the front of the leg. Don't have to hold this too long. Now, this is really a variation of a pose called half bow pose, which really is a back bend, okay, but it does stretch the thighs. So we're taking some of the back bend sensation out of the posture so we can focus on the thigh. Okay, I'm going to release. Okay, prop myself back up onto the elbows. And if you can, maybe get back onto the hands, hug the elbows in toward your ribs. And if you can, push, okay, and sit or lift up to this tabletop. I'm just going to kind of crawl my knees forward a little bit. Then I'm going to sit back into child pose. Now, this also depends on how flexible your knees are. But if you can't sit all the way back, again, you can use that big pillow, bolster, or rolled up towel or blanket, tuck it underneath like this or in between, and then just sit. Maybe something like this. This is fine. And what you experience here is maybe a little stretch for the back, okay, especially since we were just in that minor back bend, so this might add some relief. And an opportunity to come back to your breath. Let's take 2 more breaths. And then come back up to hands and knees. You can move your props out of the way. Let's take another seat. So I'm going to sit back, hero, off to the side, swing the legs around to the front. Now I'm going to move my blanket out of the way as well, over here. Scoot forward so you're sitting in the center of your mat. Make sure your blocks are handy, okay?
Go ahead and roll down onto your back carefully. Draw knees into chest and add some movement here. Now this next pose kind of gets into that outer portion of the thigh. Okay, not too much of the front. So set the feet onto the floor. We're going to pick up the left foot, cross this left ankle over right thigh. And with your left hand, just a gentle push of the knee away from you. Now you're going to get kind of this stretch kind of in the inner and outer portions of the leg. Gentle stretch. Now if you need more, you can actually pick up the right foot. If you can, now I have long arms so I can easily do this. Pick up one or two of your blocks, okay? You're gonna pick up the right foot that's on the floor, put it underneath that foot. So your foot is on the block. I'm actually gonna use 2 blocks because my blocks are thin. So it basically just lifts the legs and brings them in a little closer. Then I can hold onto the shin or hamstrings just to draw the legs in a little closer. And by doing so, I feel a little bit more in my leg. And I'm feeling this, let me just add where I'm actually feeling this. It's kind of in the upper thigh, but around towards the backside, towards the glutes, okay, and a little bit in the inner leg. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then we can uncross this leg, set the left foot down. I'm going to pick up my right foot so I can move my blocks out of the way. And just hold here with knees bent, feet on the floor, and just let everything relax. Let's get ready for the other side. You can still grab your blocks here. I'm going to pick up the right foot, cross right ankle over left thigh. And use your right hand and just gently push this right knee away. Very gently, not forced. And just notice what sensations arise. Perhaps inner leg, which does affect the kind of the front portion of the leg again. All right, you can stay just like this if it feels good, or we can bring in those blocks, pick up the left foot, place the foot on the blocks. Bringing the legs a little closer just changes the sensation a little bit. Let's hold on to the shin or hamstrings, just something to hold on to here. And just feel that natural stretch. Again, pay attention to where it's showing up on this right side. I'm kind of getting it in the right outer hip, upper thigh, a little bit in that hamstring, but more in the glute area. 2 more breaths. All right, let's go ahead and uncross this top leg. I'm going to lift my foot so I can remove the blocks. Let's go ahead and just do a nice stretch here. Extend the legs out front, reach the arms behind you, just to create some more space through the entire spine, especially in the low back area, just in case it got a little bound up. All right, let's bend the knees again. Let's get those blocks again, because I'm going to have you press into the floor with your feet, lift your hips, slide your books or blocks underneath you, kind of return to that bridge pose, the supported bridge pose. Hold. We're going to do a hip opener here. We're not going to hold it too long because it's a place where you might feel a little overstretched, so let's be mindful of that. We're going to bring the feet together so the legs are almost touching. And then let the knees go outward on either side of the room and the soles of the feet touch. We did this seated. Now we're just doing it lying down in this back bend version. Now there's a lot more space between you and the floor, so as gravity is going to pull. So that's where you're going to get that deeper stretch in the inner legs. It's all connected. It's not the actual thighs, but it's all connected. And we're not going to hold here too long because, like I said, because of the lift, it could be more intense of a pull. So 1 more breath. Let's bring the knees together, plant the feet firmly into the ground,
Press feet into the ground so you can lift your hips. Move the block. See if you can stay lifted a little longer, engaging the thighs and the underside, and then bring the body back down. One last pose. Let's twist. Bring the knees in toward your body. That might feel good as a way of rounding the back a little bit. And then send the knees over to your left side as you extend your right arm off to the right side. And because there were some minor back bends in our practice today, this hopefully will feel good. Nice stretch in the low back area, in the hips, and perhaps all the way up and down the spine. Just really allowing the body to settle into the pose. We're getting closer to the end of our practice together. Two more breaths. And then carefully return to center, hold, and then down to the other side. So send the knees over to the right side and extend your left arm out to the left side and just feel that natural rotation that's happening in the body. Some deep breaths here, settle in. Let's take 3 more breaths. And then carefully return to center. You might give yourself another nice hug. And then set the feet down. And then extend the legs out in front of you. And let your arms rest down by your side. Just settle in. Just relax completely and comfortably on your mat. Now, if you need a little more support, feel free to use your props as a way to support your body. You can even lie down with knees bent, maybe tuck something underneath bent knees, or even roll up a towel or a blanket so you have a slight bend in knees as you're lying down, and that might feel quite comfortable. If you need something soft underneath your head, maybe place a folded towel or blanket or a small pillow. Whatever you need to do to feel the most comfortable here. This is Shavasana. So our final posture where you're completely relaxed. You can do this with your eyes open, just gazing upward. And of course, you can close your eyes. Soft, steady breaths. And just audible enough so you can hear it and feel it. Feel free to stay here as long as you like. The intention is to feel completely relaxed. Even as I end the practice, you're welcome to stay just as you are, lying down, supported with your props, resting easily. I'll come up to seated and end the practice, but you can stay right where you are. When it is time to move, rather than moving too quickly, take your time and just start with some deep breaths, perhaps 5 deep breaths.
After your 5th breath, moving your body in very slow motion. I'm just bending my knees, slowly rolling to one side. You might even pause here for a moment. And then press yourself up to seated. You might want to bring in your blanket or pillow to sit on here. Sit up nice and tall, perhaps with your legs crossed if that feels comfortable. Nice lengthened spine, relaxed shoulders, arms down by your side. Hands can just rest on your legs or in your lap. You can stay just like this or bring your hands to heart center. Take one more breath with me. Inhale, fill up your heart space. Exhale completely. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow saying, Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.